Hello, my name is Austin Lyons, and this is for our first discussion board in Education 630. The first question, how does an effective teacher balance the demand of a standards-based curriculum catered to the individual needs of a student? I feel that for an effective teacher to balance both the standards of the curriculum and to meet those individual needs of the students, you have to look at what individual needs that your students need in your classroom. And Robler and Hughes says that on page 310. They also say that in order to determine what tools you need to use to help meet the individual needs of each student, you have to consider their environments, not only their physical environments, but also what instructional environments that they have as well. You also have to take into consideration their individual characteristics such as their abilities, their needs, and their preferences. All students are different and they all come in different forms. I know from experience for me, as I have a inclusion class in social studies, which is very rare in school, but I'll talk more about that later. Some of the tools that we have at our disposal to help us meet both individual student needs and help with the standards of the curriculum is that there are multiple adaptive technologies that we read in the journal article from this week. Shute and Zapata Rivera on page 284 talk about the difference between using soft technology and hard technologies. An example of a soft technology would be machine learning. In machine learning, it is case-based or instance learning model, and the purpose of this is to help increase accuracy, efficiency, and extensibility for each of those students. Another example specifically for hard technology would be speech capture devices. These devices allow students to interact with the computer through speech rather than typing. This is very beneficial for students who have physical disability that may not be able to rely on typing certain information. I have used something similar to this in class before, as well as I have a brother-in-law who is physically disabled and he's nonverbal, so this is how he also communicates on a computer, as he can use certain devices and to help with that ability. So I mentioned earlier that I have an EC inclusion class, which is very rare for social studies. Usually it's in ELA or math. But because we have such a high EC population here in our school, excuse me, they have requested that I have an EC inclusion class this year, mostly for those reading goals that they try to meet. So I have an inclusion teacher that comes in my class every day, and we work together to try to meet the needs of each individual student in our classroom based on their goals and still following our North Carolina essential standards as well as Common Core curriculum as well. So we work together to develop lessons that are going to help with informational text, because a lot of our EC students really struggle with that high informational text reading and can be challenging for us and for them. But I have allowed access on my Canvas page for a read aloud option. I've also done Loom videos in the past, which I've learned to use through the pandemic when we first started, of where you can record yourself on the computer and share your screen at the same time. And I think this helps with some of that slower processing that those students have in the classroom, so they can go back and watch that video as many times as they want. So if they miss something, then they can go back, rewatch it, and then get that information that they need. Those are just some of the examples that I have in my classroom, and I look forward to hearing from the rest of you in this class and learning more about different technologies in education.